Welcome to the Shine the Way podcast. I'm your host, Jake Blake, and I am joined today by Chaz Hauck and Nick Johnson. They are the Minneapolis and Bennington High School wrestling coaches. And just a little bit of background information on how good coaches these guys are. Chaz has been the head coach at Minneapolis since 2014, and he started as an assistant coach in 2000. He's been the coach of the month by the Salina Regional Orthopedic Clinic, the 2014 NWCA Assistant Coach of the Year. As well, in 2014, he was the KWCA Assistant Coach of the Year. He has coached 9 state champions. 2 of them are coming from Nick Johnson, his running mate. He also coached the first female state champion in Minneapolis high school history. He's married to Jessie and has 5 children. Nick Johnson began his coaching career as the assistant coach at Bennington High School in 2006 and became the head coach at Bennington in 2011. He then merged into the Minneapolis-Bennington program with Chaz as his assistant coach. He is the 2014 KWCA assistant coach, right along with Chaz. He's coached 3 state champions, one of being his son. He's a 2-time state champion at Minneapolis High School. He was the first in school history. And he, I believe, is also the first father-son state champions of Minneapolis High School. He has been inducted into the MHS Hall of Fame. He's married to Meredith and has 3 children. So thanks for dealing with the tech issues, guys. I appreciate it, and welcome. All right. Welcome, Chaz Hauck and Nick Johnson, the Minneapolis-Bennington wrestling coaches. We've been experiencing some technical difficulties, so we're going to jump right into the questions. Chaz, I'm going to start with you first. Obviously, you wrestled growing up. Was there any other sports you like to play?
I tried football, junior high and early high school, and 112 pounds as a sophomore. You don't get a lot of playing time, so I just kind of gave up on that, and just stuck with wrestling. So
yeah. You guys know me growing up. I was just like that. I stuck with it, and I was not a good football player. I tell people all the time, if we had the option like my boys do for soccer, I definitely would have been a soccer player because I can run. The whole hitting part of things, if they didn't know I was coming, I might try to take a shot at them, but that's the only way. So, Nick, I'll ask you the same question. Just, besides wrestling, what'd you do growing up?
I did football. I love football.
Yeah.
Chase went through it, but the Falcon football, which is fun seeing those guys go through it. But wish I had it back in the day too. Wrestling really helps out football players tremendously. I'll stick to that 100%. But yeah, I had fun with football. In my senior year, we had a really good run, and 150-pound kid was a nose guard, so that's it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, no, I remember watching that team your senior year, and you guys really didn't have much beef, but you guys were cat quick 1 through 11, and you were a lot of problems for people, and it was fun to watch.
Yep.
During that time, though, growing up, wrestling, playing a little football, was there a specific coach or coaches that kind of piqued your interest that maybe one day I'd like to coach? And this is just open it to both you guys.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Well, just a coach is, just sitting back and watching the guys see how they go with training you. Alan Dickerman was a big part of my growing up, and so was Thad Lambert was huge, being in my corner and just having patience. That's the biggest thing. You get frustrated when you're coaching, but having patience to get over that frustration is a huge thing. Who else was there? There was a bunch. And I hate to leave people out, but I said Alan, Thad, Vic Goeth was huge for me. He was the one of the loudest coaches you ever hear. One of the loudest, and even in the stands when you're at state, you'd hear him. But or not just at state, but at a tournament. Even though Jeff Lott was there. Soft spoken guy, but he'd tell you what you're doing wrong. Just it was awesome. And I was like, well, I always knew I wanted to be a dad. That's a big thing about my life and Chaz's life. But you want to grow kids and teach them the right way, and they've all taught us that way. You have your hard ones, and you have the soft ones.
Yeah, I don't think there's one right way to do it. There are wrong ways, but there are multiple ways you can do it right. And I
Yeah,
think, one of the things I've been impressed with both of you guys is you guys both know when to be kind of more vocal and when to kind of take the softer approach, which is the mark of a good coach. Um,
And,
and
and
and a,
some
and a
and
good
some of
dad.
that, not to interrupt, some of that it's just teamwork. You know, we have our coaching staff's really good. We have all different varieties, and we know when to step in, step out, and let the other one come in, and this and that. That helps. Just having a good coaching staff that understands each other and works together is amazing, and it's
yeah.
a lot of our success. So
Yeah. Yeah. Those early coaches, that's one of the things I coach a lot of youth sports, and I've tried to tell those kids that my job is not for us to win 9U baseball or basketball or whatever. Yeah, we
Yeah.
want to win in the moment because competition is good. I love competition. I'm a competitive guy myself, and I want you kids to learn how to compete. But if you lose, it's not about that. It's about having fun and growing as a player. So that way, when you get to middle school, you can play on your team. And then when you get to high school, you can play on your team if you so. And then for those lucky enough and talented enough to go on past that, whatever sport it is, that's the goal of us young
Mhm.
coaches. And so,
absolutely.
Nick, you named a few guys that obviously spoke to you at a young age. And that's the key. And there's nothing worse than walking across a bad youth coach.
Oh,
Nothing worse.
absolutely, absolutely. That's and going on with that is, even going through football, you always had those kind of coaches that kind of went you the wrong direction, whatever. But I remember Jerry working with Jerry Mick. He was my high school football guy. I worked with him. Long story short, he was always say, "Hey, you always have to tell those younger coaches, hey, I need to get them to me. Don't run them off before you get to high school." And that's big. Our big thing is hey, let them have fun. Don't run them off. And that is a huge deal.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've had conversation with the high school coaches now that I coach middle school, and even before that as a youth basketball coach. And his biggest thing was that right there: keep it
Yeah.
fun, so they don't quit before they get to me.
Mm-hmm.
At
That's a huge
least
thing.
give me a shot to have them, and then we'll see where it goes from there. Maybe they end up not being a basketball player, and that's fine. But let them make that decision in high school, and not as a sixth grader or a
Yeah,
fourth
absolutely.
grader. Um, so I know both of you guys had a pretty special coach in your wrestling career. The late great Coach Jeff Giles. You
Oh,
both wrestled for him, and Chaz, I know you coached with him.
Yep.
Um,
Nick and I
so
both did, actually. So
yeah, and so talk a little bit, Chaz. I'm going to start with you. Can you talk a little bit about what Coach Giles meant to you as far as your mentorship and how he developed and what you learned from him as a coach?
man, my whole life, honestly, and I'm not even exaggerating. I mean, he was such a big impact in my life as a young athlete, and then moving on into my adult life, super huge. He helped me through my stint in the military. I mean, a lot of things that the basic things. It had nothing to do with wrestling. It was just the everyday lessons you know uh, he taught us. It helped me through my when I was in the military, and then coming out, and then of course I was pretty young getting out and coaching underneath him. I was kind of a hothead. I was pretty intense, and I'm not saying that I'm not still intense, but uh, as a 23, 24 year old, I was pretty on fire, I think. And he knew how to talk to me, woke me back. Um, Super big impact in my whole life. Uh, I still, yeah, I still talk to myself. I go home or, after practice or something like that. I'm like, how would Jeff handle that? And did I handle that right? I mean, I've still, he's been gone, 10 years now, and I
There'll
still,
never be a Giles. There'll never be a Giles.
no, there'll never be another guy like that. And he was just so impactful in my life. And I try to live every day just to, you know, I'm not going to be able to fill those footsteps, but I try to make it as close as I possibly can.
Yeah.
But
Well, so I had the fortune of talking to another MHS Hall of Famer in Cody Parks here a
Yeah,
while back,
we watched
and
it.
Cody,
he credits you with a lot. I don't know if you caught that towards the tail end, but he talked highly of both of you gentlemen.
Yeah.
He said that
Well,
Nick
we
and
appreciate
him are not
that.
allowed in the same room because they're both loud, and I
Hey,
can see that. They both like
yeah,
to talk, but he credited you from helping him continue his wrestling career. He was contemplating giving up potentially, and maybe he can't do this, and then he watched you go through some tough times in your high school career, and then show up the next day and be his wrestling partner, even though he outweighed you by probably 50, 60 pounds.
quite a
And
bit.
yeah, and so that speaks volumes. And so no,
Yeah, I remember that. He was sorry. I didn't
no,
mean
go
to.
ahead, keep going.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I kind of caught the end of that, and like Cody was a freshman when I was a senior, and I had three younger brothers, and one of Dave, he was a freshman too. That group was a really good group that came in, Cody's group,
Hmm.
and Cody did have a really tough year that year. Man, he's a light heavyweight. He's just getting throttled on a little bit, and so after season, kids fed starts or whatever. I have some brothers there too, so I'm showing up, so I'm helping them, and Cody's there, and you could kind of tell Cody he was special throughout the year. You could kind of tell that whole group was pretty special, and Dave and Monty Smith and Billy Moore and Dan Peach. There was just a ton of guys there that were really really good, and so I was kind of there for my brothers, but you get in there and Cody don't have anybody because he's the biggest guy in the room. I'm like, man, I got that guy, and so I mean, and that's just part of kind of what we still preach today is being family, and helping the next generation up because I mean that's what we were taught through Jeff and this and that and whole upbringings from home and things like that. So yeah, it was Cody's an amazing person, and he says some really good things, and he's an amazing coach, and we really appreciate him. I just can't sit next to him at a seating meeting because he wants to talk to me, and then I miss my seat on my kids, so I try to sit across the room from him now, but I'll talk to
Yeah,
him later.
yeah. So I did get a quote from Cody, who is currently the Blue Valley Southwest head wrestling coach and an MHS alum and Hall of Famer. He said, "I have so much to say about Coach Giles as well as Chaz and Nick, as individuals, people in the community, and as wrestlers. When I was first coaching, I called Coach Giles and asked him, 'How come you didn't teach me this or that?' It was an all about me question. To make the story short, he believed in doing what was best for the team. He said he taught the way he taught the way he thought everyone could benefit and get better. Teaching to the best does not help the whole team get better. Most of all, he told me at some point becomes about relationships. These wrestlers might be neighbors someday, and heck, I might work for them someday painting their house. He was about making people better people. I think Chaz and Nick do what's best for kids as well as make them good at the sport. Just like Coach Giles, Chaz and Nick make them better humans and lifelong lovers of this sport." So everything he's echoed, I echo that on that. I mean, you know, thankfully he doesn't ramble on like he did on the podcast, which he apologized for, but I loved it because it made my
Oh,
job
Yeah,
even easier.
absolutely.
But
That's Cody.
anyway, I appreciate that. And And so, Nick, I want to turn it over to you because he obviously impacted you as well, being a two-time state champion. Obviously, you had talent for the sport, but
Yeah.
sometimes talent needs molding, and I'm sure that Coach Giles played a big part in that.
Oh, a huge part. Yeah. So I think it was my sophomore year. My freshman year, rankings are rankings. You have three guys, four guys say, "Hey, Joe Blow over here, Minneapolis. He's a good wrestler. He's record is whatever." And I was having a successful year, and then went and got beat out blood rounds at regionals my freshman year. I was ranked sixth in the state. Whatever. Long story short, it impacted me. I'm like, oh man, and I didn't even go watch. Bad thing was I didn't even deserve to even go watch state. I didn't want to feel what state felt like to go watch high school state. Yeah, I wrestled in Kids Fed State all the time, whatever. And sophomore year comes around, ranked in state, um, got beat. Now I was burnt out. I was done, and I think it was Belleville tournament. And it's called
Christmas tournament.
Yeah, Christmas tournament. And I looked at Giles and said, "Hey, I'm done. I am done wrestling." And he sent me in his office. Said, "Hey, no, you're gonna take this week off. Go with family, talk to family, whatever. Come see you next week." It's all right, and it truly helped me out. It did. I was so Jake. I was so done, and I know how that feels. And then he wrangled me back in and fished me back in. Old Giles fished me back in, and I'll never forget that moment where I won my first state champion, or even my sophomore year took second. It was amazing, and yeah. So you're probably gonna get to this later on in the podcast or whatever, but going off the whole getting second in state, whatever. Somebody asked me in front of Giles, is hey, if there's any one match you take back in your wrestling career, what would you take it back? And I said, probably getting second because I got my butt kicked. I got my ass just beat in front of a lot of people at Fort Hays State. And he no joke, he goes, "Nick, what in the world are you talking about? Why would you take that back?" And I was like, "Well, I got embarrassed." And he's like, "That's really what you'd say?" I was like, "No, maybe I should have took my freshman year." But that's what it is, man. I mean, he had a huge impact on everybody. And it wasn't for him. And and then we tell our wrestlers too. I'm probably rambling on, but we tell our wrestlers too. It's like, we've already had our shot. We already did what we needed to do. This is for you. You're giving up your time for you. But I don't know. Yeah, Giles was he was huge in our relationship.
Yeah. Well, we're going to continue that conversation real quick. Reached out to a good buddy of your guys's, Jeff Mortimer, another MHS
yeah.
alum and Hall of Famer,
Yeah.
and a classmate of Nick. And I believe, Chaz, you coached him in wrestling.
Yeah, I was assistant coach when he was on. Yeah, him and Nick
Yeah.
graduated the same year.
He
Yep.
was his senior year. He was one of the trio that from
Yep.
Delphus that won the state championship. It was a pretty electric time in Minneapolis wrestling history. I remember seeing some of that video footage, and I'm not a wrestler because I'm weak, but it gave me chills and made me want to go try to throw Nick once. But
Yeah.
anyway, so I got a quote from Jeff, and he says, Chaz and Nick are amazing role models and leaders, and they have done an outstanding job with the Minneapolis Bennington wrestling program. Becoming a leader requires you to first be a follower, to learn the ropes and gain experience. Both Chaz and Nick and so many other wrestlers, including myself, were blessed to be able to learn wrestling from one of the greatest men that I have ever known, Coach Jeff Giles. Coach Giles instilled a relentless work ethic in everyone that came through his program. What has been fun to watch is Chaz and Nick have taken that foundation and continued to build the program into the success it is today. And, I bump into Jeff every now and then. His son, Drew, right now is doing a wonderful job as a safety
Yes, he
for St.
is.
Thomas Aquinas.
Yes, he is.
And obviously, Jeff had a stellar career as a long snapper at K-State. But just to think back of all the coaches he's had and all the coaches you guys have had through your time, that the the one guy right now that seems to really just be the central focus from a coaching standpoint is Coach Giles. And
Absolutely.
I never had him as a coach. I had him as a teacher and a weight instructor. If he was
Mhm.
here, I'd tell him he failed with me on building weight, but I don't think that was his problem. It was probably more my problem. But um, anyway, we got more. I've got another quote for you, but that we're going to save that one for later. So,
Yeah.
hearing you guys talk about Coach Giles and the way you guys try to live your life every day and why you're there, um, can you expand on exactly why do you guys give up your time for these kids? Why you guys have had so much success in the wrestling arena? Why did you feel the need, and why do you still today, after doing it for so long, every day go out there and give your time because both got families, you both got jobs. It'd be easy to be like, man, I can't do this anymore. So, what drives you to continue to coach wrestling?
Honestly, it's just putting good kids out in society, successful kids that have good work ethic, show up on time to work, and do the work that's in front of them for that's what for me, that's what it is. We just want good. We want to impact somebody's life. That way, they are successful beyond high school, beyond wrestling. It's really not even about the wrestling. That's what we're trying to make great men and women now. And that's that can be a positive outlook on society. That's kind of I tell the kids that about once a week. I think during wrestling
Mhm.
season, I just want good kids. It's not even about the wrestling. It's
Yeah.
just touching somebody's life to try to show them the right what we feel is the right way to be, as an adult. And I guess that's the main reason I do. I just love showing that way. I love trying to push on. It's always goes back to Jeff or Giles, but uh, just pushing what he taught on us. That's kind of what we're trying to push on to kind of keep that, his memory alive, at least for us, at least for
Mhm.
me, anyhow.
Yeah, and going off what Chaz said, um, Chaz, you know, the growing up life that he had is a big impact with Giles, and he throws that with the kids that might be struggling, might not be struggling with contacting them guys and girls now, and saying, he says about it every day. It's like, I'm here not for me, for you, because I've grown it up with the situation, and I had the coach Jeff Giles r- pull me in the right direction, push me in the right direction, and that's where he's at. Mine is I want them to feel what I had when you get, not just when you get your hand raised in a state championship match or a tournament match or whatever, but it's about having your team behind you. You fight tooth and nail. You get your ass kicked every day on that mat, and you have us say, "Hey, get back out there, get back out there." You just got your butt whooped. Get back out there, and they do it. And I want them to feel what I felt, feel what we feel. I mean, it's what that's why I always, we're busy. We're busier than we've had been in the last few years, taking on more stuff. But that's why we gave our time up for them, and we appreciate our wives for
Yeah,
dealing with that and taking care of them for us to take care of the other kids. Give that up. I mean, we got to
yeah,
give that up to our wives. I mean,
Yeah, shout out to both of your wives. I mean, any wife that is married to a coach, especially at the high school level where you guys are
yeah,
so busy, sometimes when you look just date wise, it may not seem like that long, but in reality, a high school coach, it's a year round thing. Because
yeah,
yeah,
especially in a small town where you guys see these kids that you just had or will have every day randomly downtown, at the grocery store, wherever. And so it's a full-time job year round. So thank you to both your wives for that. I've got a million ways I could go here because you guys have thrown
Oh,
some really
absolutely.
good stuff out there. And but I want to go back to something you said, Nick, about when you lost and you did not want to go to state after your freshman year. I guess
Yeah.
a couple of questions on that. One, did Minneapolis at the time have anybody going to state
Yep.
wrestle? Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
How
Troy
do you
Cinnamon
guys? Yeah,
and Metzler,
Jared.
Jared. Yep.
So knowing that, and now you're coaching, and you come across a kid that has all the talent in the world, number 6 in the state, and loses in the blood rounds and regionals and doesn't make it. What's your
Man,
advice to that kid?
keep your head up. I mean, things will happen. Things, you put your time in and you trust yourself and trust the coaches. Um, keep on the grind. I mean, we had a shirt that said
Redefine
the grind, and that's the truth. I mean, you've got to put the work in to get you success, and it hurts. It does. It hurts in everything. The time you put in, the time you lose, everything. I mean,
So, so when you
was it a good team? Was it a good? I was just hurt. I was hurt. And I should have went and watched my teammates, but I,
no, and that's one of the questions I've always had about um, wrestling. Right? It's an individual sport, and you're out there by
to a
yourself.
certain extent,
Yeah, they say it is.
to a certain
We
extent,
still say
I,
it's team.
I
yeah,
and that's where I want to go with this next part right
yeah.
now is I talked to a couple other Cody and then Coach Vieira. We're going to call him Coach
Yes.
Yeah,
Cody and
yeah.
Yeah.
DeSoto, um, about this type of thing because yes, it's one on one when you're on the mat for that particular match,
Mhm.
and you lose a big one, and it seems like it's one on one, but reality is you've got their whole team there. So how do you continue to build a team chemistry in a sport that when they're actually going at it, it is one on one?
Well, the biggest thing is it's like I don't know. It's kind of the best way to explain it. I mean, anybody can go out in their driveway if they got a basketball goal and shoot baskets by themselves, right? And do that all night long until they get their 100 shots or whatever it is. It is they do. Um, Wrestling can't do that. You got to have another guy there, or another gal, depending. It's so much more team than what people understand because you can't do it by your own. You can't hit double legs and finishes or run penny combinations or rides by yourself. You got to have another guy there to practice with, and that's where the team aspect of the matter of it comes in. You're never by yourself ever. Even if you think you are on that mat, you're not because there's 12 other guys on the sidelines watching you, and cheering you on. You're never by yourself. That's you always have to have a partner to drill with, partner to practice with. You can't just, it's not the same as other sports.
Yeah, and going off of that is, you don't have a when you're in the wrestling room, you don't have this huge court. And I'm not saying just about basketball, or you can go baseball too. Have this huge field, throwing balls, whatever, doing your practices, whatever. You only have your own self to depend on when you're on the mat. But if you're not busting your butt on with your partners, it shows for sure. You have nobody to hide behind when he comes got blocked or I didn't tackle or whatnot. That's the biggest thing. You and your partners and it's just not you're going. You have me like say me and Chaz are just wrestling together. He's my partner. You as coaches you throw them in different corners. It might be smaller guy, bigger guy, same size guy, whatever. It all depends on
Different
the
looks.
guys,
Yeah.
the guys you're wrestling or the girls you're wrestling now, whatever. It's a huge deal.
Yeah.
You
By the
can't
way,
hide.
if you
There's
heard
no
that
You
bark,
hiding
can't
your
hide in the corner.
if you
room's
guys
too
heard that,
small.
If you heard that bark, that was my dog Shaq telling you guys to stop bagging on basketball. So
Basketball
just
is
throwing that out there.
yeah.
He's a vicious 19 pounds, and next time I'm in Minneapolis, Nick, I'm going to turn him loose if you aren't
I
careful.
got
So,
Luke. Luke has an underbite too.
but well, that's awesome. I love that explanation of how much of a team sport it actually is. And
Mhm.
for people like me that just look from an outside perspective, you just see the one-on-one on the mat, and that's about the only time they're by themselves, so to
Yeah,
speak, is in the one-on-one in the match. But then they got the coaches in the corner, and then all the fans and all the people supporting them that have put in their own blood, sweat, and tears to help them get to where they're at. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
and
um,
you got the go with the 3-2-1-A to small. I mean 3-2-1-A. They're smaller schools, so you only get so many kids. I mean,
mhm,
the way Cody's running his program successfully, but he gets 60, 70 kids or whatever.
yeah,
You have 120 pounders to 106 pounders, whatever. You can have that. We have 106 pounders wrestling 135 pounders getting the butt whoop. I mean,
In the room, yeah, we it's vast in the room
yeah,
sometimes.
sometimes it is. So that's the thing about wrestling is you cannot hide.
Yeah,
well, and he did mention that his program's big enough that a lot of times early in the year they'll run it kind of two varsity teams.
Yeah.
So that makes sense to what you're saying is that he has
Mhm.
enough of each weight class that they can go
Yep.
against their weight class
Which
and
is
not have
awesome.
to go up. And then where you guys are at the 3-2-1-A, you got to do what you got to do with what you have,
Mhm.
and that's a great thing. And he even commented, and I loved hearing about it, the fact that he said, when you look at 4, 5, and 6A, you pretty much know who's going to be at state after
Yeah.
you went through the season because there's 30 some spots. He's like, those guys in 3-2-1A, you don't know about somebody out in the far west corner of Kansas that this kid's a stud, and you may not have ever seen him or heard of him. He's been wrestling Oklahoma. Who knows? Comes in with a record of like 5-5, and next thing you know, he's the state champ just because he's a 1A kid that this is what I do.
yeah.
So, uh, kind of moving on to the boys and girls aspect. First of all, how long have you guys had the girls program at Minneapolis? And secondly, what's that been like coaching girls in a wrestling program? I know, Nick, it's special for you now with your daughter being
Mhm.
involved, but I, Coach Hobby and I were talking, there can't be much more difference between, I mean, a boy and a girl in high school are about as opposite as it can get. And I
Yeah.
assume in the wrestling room, there's some similarities, but there's a lot of differences as well.
Yeah.
Oh my, yeah. We started. I think. I mean, been when Grace been 2023. I think we had some before that. We had a couple girls before that, and never just kind of panned out. But 2023 was the first time that we had a
Actually
girl
had a girls.
stay all the way through the season. Um, and she came for us from Chapman. She'd wrestled in Chapman. She was a state finalist the year before.
And
Yeah,
her uncle and her dad wrestled.
yeah. Her uncle would be Donnie Smith, be our Minneapolis first state champion. Was her uncle,
Cool.
and so that was kind of neat. And I remember when I was a kid, I got to watch Donnie Smith. But 2023, they moved in from Chapman. Their twins had a boy and a girl, so that was the first girl we ever had. And then last year we had a bunch come in, a bunch of freshmen, just tough. In the room, they're amazing. Nobody outworks them. I mean,
Which
I,
is yeah.
nobody outworks them, but uh, there's some different things going on there. You get some tears every now and then.
It's wild. Jake, it's I'll tell you what,
Super
coaching both of
fun.
them,
It's
yeah.
super fun, but it's for a coaching dudes for 25 years or 24 years, and then you get these girls in here. It's different. And I have daughters, and I'm pretty soft on my daughters, or always have been. And it's like it's a different world, and they are like the girls we have are just amazing. I mean, I'm not kidding when I say they don't get outworked in the room. They go. There's hair
Yeah.
going everywhere and hair
Yeah.
ties on the deal now, on the mat now, and some tears going on. But I mean,
I think it's fun. I mean, I
it
really
is
do.
super fun.
Just because they soak everything in.
Yep.
I mean, boys, they listen. Don't get me wrong, they listen, but they're like, yeah, let's do this. And then girls are like, no, I want it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna soak. I'm a sponge. Give me everything you got. I'm gonna do this. It might be tears, like he said. Might be tears, a little scratch fighting here and there, but it is truly fun to watch these girls develop into really awesome wrestlers.
And as a coach staff, we're trying to learn it. And like I said, I had a
Yeah.
couple daughters, but you
No,
you tell a guy something, and he's like, okay, whatever. You tell a girl that, you're like, hey, maybe we need to try looking for this. They take it literally, and that's all they try to do. And I'm like, don't forget, hey, your bread and butter got you there, but look for this one. So they take everything literally. They are a sponge, and man, they are tough. They're fun. They're fun to coach.
Yeah.
What kind of dynamic has that provided? Because Coach Javi mentioned that there's times where the boys get so serious that having the girls sometimes be a little more lighthearted has lightened the mood and made things better from a perspective, and then vice versa. The boys can kind of make the girls, but it sounds like in your problem is not that because your girls are locked in. So
Dude, it
what's,
is. And
what's that like? I mean, having because I equate it again. I'm a basketball guy, and so I can't even
yeah,
imagine trying to be a coach. Me and I say I have 4 assistant coaches, and we're trying to coach both the varsity boys and the varsity girls at the same time. I
yeah.
mean that's a lot to ask. So, and it's totally different style of
So
basketball.
like this last year, because we only had Grace before.
Yeah, we only had one girl,
We had
so it's pretty easy.
6 freshman girls, 6 freshman girls
Yeah.
that are very, very competitive. And, even in your sprints, like you have so much time to make the sprint. And then it goes down lower and lower through the whole season. And if they don't make it or their group don't make it, they run another one or what, vice versa or whatever. And the girls would be yelling at the boys, come on, get going. Or they get Johnson drills or whatever. They're not happy because one of those guys messed up. Why are we getting? Because you're a team.
Yeah.
You're still a team, and it's fun. Though.
Back to the family aspect,
Mm-hmm.
And it is. I mean, and it's just knowing your kids and figuring your kids out, and how to coach each individual kid. 'Cause you can't coach everybody the same. You try. I mean, you try to. Most kids, I've had brothers that were totally opposite. You can get one all you want, and it makes it better. You get on the other one, he folds. So just trying to figure out your kids and what makes them go, what makes them tick.
And girls, I tell you what, girls sometimes they come off the mat. And even if they win, they're still mad. They're still mad. It's like, what? You just won. She goes, not the way I wanted. She's like, okay, all right, just
go calm down. I'll talk to you in 10
understand.
minutes.
Calm down.
Yeah, that somewhat perfectionist is what I'm hearing right there.
Yeah. They are people pleasers. What I've noticed, the girls that we have, they want to please and they want it their way, and they are perfectionists, and which is super fun. It's just
So you guys, you just talked about a family atmosphere, and you both have had the chance to take it literally in coaching your kids in the program, correct?
Yeah.
Nick's currently doing that right now with Rylan, and then you guys have had the boys.
Yep.
What's that like? Coaching at a high level. I mean, fortunately, they were good, so that helps. That's easy to say. From what I remember, both your boys they were really good, and it sounds like your daughter, until that injury last year, was headed in the right direction, and she's probably going to come back with a vengeance. I'd hate to be her opponents this year.
Rylan beat the champion, the girl that won state this year. She beat her. She beat her by 4 points, and broke her arm. I even grabbed a hold of that thing and said, "You're fine." Like, I still feel bad for that this day. It's like like the boy, like, let me feel this, and she's like, oh. But anyways, so the aspects on the coaching our kids is started out with Tristan.
Yeah, that was a tough one. That was a tough one.
Yeah. So he got to this certain point where he was a senior, he accepted, hey, Chaz, my dad is a coach. He's my coach. But all the way through that, just like Chase and me, we had Chaz was coach Chase and I'd coach Tristan. That was the turning point with that. But when we got to to the certain point where, hey, yeah, tell him, coaching it, and then listen. But it was fun. It was really fun.
It was fun. It was a learning experience. Like Tristan, I was pretty hard on Tristan. Of course, he's my first son, and I was pretty tough on him, and it was rough, and again, back to the family atmosphere. I have Nick, and Nick and I consider Nick a brother,
Yeah,
100%,
absolutely.
and we've been together quite a while, and man, it's like Nick, you got him, and he would listen to Nick, he'd do everything that Nick needed. Tristan even kicked me out of my office one day so he could talk to Coach Johnson about because he was having some issues and needed to talk, and then you gotta let him have that.
We kicked you out. It wasn't
Yeah, you gotta you gotta step out as.
And he's like, "What? It's my office." Like, get out of here.
You gotta step out as dad and be coach and just be better, because it's not about you. It's about him and what's going to make him better. Chase was a lot easier. He could differentiate between dad and coach a lot better than Tristan could. I have a feeling I'm going to be in with the daughter quite a bit, Rylan a little bit.
Yeah.
It's I feel like I'm going to have to step back in a little bit more. It's just feeling whatever kid, but it's super tough.
It is, and going off one of Tristan's matches in state, it was a blood round, and I got really emotional with that one. I was like, Tristan had the match won, and the referee messed it up. And I grabbed a hold of Chaz. He's like, "You better talk to him. You better talk to him right now." And he's like, "You just go over and deal with Tristan. Just go over and deal with Tristan. You better talk to this guy right now." I was mad. I was like,
and that's the funny thing, when my son was in the finals, I wasn't really nervous. Nick was nervous.
I threw up.
When
I never threw up. I threw up before the match.
And this is the funny thing because when his son was in the finals, I threw up.
Yeah.
I was more nervous.
Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
I don't know. You're in and out with these guys quite a bit, and they mean the world to you. And like Chase and Tristan mean, for us, we've been together for so long. They see Nick as an uncle or whatnot. So it means a lot to us.
It's fun though.
It is fun. It's
extremely fun.
It's nervous.
Yeah. So you guys mentioned that when Tristan was wrestling in the finals, Nick was nervous, and vice versa for Chase.
Yep.
One, kudos to you guys as dads for being calm during those times, and that you were willing to have the other person help you out as well.
Yeah.
Did you feel more pressure as a coach when you're coaching your son? And I know you care about every kid that enters that program. That's not what I'm saying, but it's just natural when it's your son or your daughter to want, so especially you guys have had success in this same building, same atmosphere, so you want it so much for them. How do you harness that so you don't put too much pressure on your kid?
I didn't, be honest with you, when Tristan was going through it, I felt more pressure for me on the aspect when then Chase is going through. Even Chase's sophomore or junior year and senior year, that was one of the biggest. But I didn't feel more pressure towards myself. I was like, yeah, you coach them, and it's them out there. You try to get to that point, and then that was it. But for some reason, I felt more pressure for Tristan, for me. I don't know why. I don't know why.
I was vice versa. I was more pressure with Chase, and I'm still upset. I still have nightmares over his match a little bit his senior year. But it's just, it was just like, man, Nick's got this. Nick. That's why he felt so much pressure with Tristan, was because, man, he had it. That was how I looked at it. I was like, Nick's got it, and he's going to listen to Nick, so that's what it is. And probably vice versa with Chase.
It's weird. It's
Chase
weird
had Chase had it a little bit different style than Nick did. And
oh yeah, way different style.
Chase ran legs, and Nick calls legs stowing. I tell him it's time management. But anyhow, so I had kind of Chase,
and be honest with you, I think coaching is way harder than wrestling.
100%.
I mean, it truly is. I get so worked up because I can't be out there controlling the match or doing what I think needs to be done. So a lot of people are like, we like to watch you guys in the corner more than we like to watch the wrestlers, because sometimes we do. We'll get to push each other. Like, I'll be yelling at, get out of my room. But it's coaching your own kid and coaching one of your best buddies' kids is extremely fun but hard.
It's intense.
So with how successful you guys were in your own right as wrestlers in your day, how hard is it for you to not look at a kid and just every time be like, well, this is what I would do, and not try to put the way Nick Johnson or Chaz Hauck would wrestle this particular kid on somebody, because maybe, like you said, maybe Chase can't do what Nick did. And so how do you kind of pull yourself back as successful wrestlers in your own right
For me,
and not try to push that on there?
For me, it's really easy. It's what's best for the kid, and we analyze that quite a bit, and like, hey, this ride's going to work better with this kid, or this kid, this kid's going to run this armbar series. It's really easy I feel, for us, because we want the kid to be successful, and we still show our nicks or what worked for us that maybe a kid might pick up, but it's all, again, for the kid, what's going to make that kid successful on the mat. And it's pretty easy. It's easy to remove myself from that a lot, and honestly.
You always have those basic moves too, though.
Yeah.
Like the half Nelson, the straight on single, and all that John Smith stuff. But the even basketball, football, everything's progressive, different directions, and we try to bring in, which we need to do a lot better.
Yeah. Last couple of years,
we usually try to get a new person in there showing different moves, and we go we iterate those with our practices, and because low sweet singles started when I was a sophomore or whatever.
I was still doing it when I was before then.
No, you were not even very fast doing it. Anyways. Just going different moves, and all of a sudden, I wish we would have known that move back in the day. I mean, that's just the way it's all progressing. So it's not too bad, but we do go, hey, try this bounce, try this setup.
Yeah, and for our camps and stuff like that, we try to bring in either college athletes or college coaches. Cody's nephew has come down and done one for us, did a really good job. Things like that. We try to get them in there and try. And believe it or not, a lot of stuff's still a lot the same. There might be a little nick or knack in there that helps them, or might help another kid, or just whoever's teaching that camp says it in a way that kid understands it, because they hear our voice all the time. So maybe they pick that up. But we try to, For us is, I feel we do a really good job as a staff of doing what's best for the kid. So pretty easy for us.
How do you guys go through the year and prepare them for the regionals and the state tournament, and so they have the understanding that, hey, we want to wrestle well at the beginning, but we want to be wrestling our best at the end. So what's your goal throughout the year to get them prepared for the finals?
It goes off of what Giles always taught, and you have the peaking point.
And
before Giles passed away, he had a set schedule of what he had to get over, what we had to get over, and even the conditioning part of all that was all set, just as like going up a mountain. And then you're ready for regionals, and then There are times you rush. You're rushing through things because
and then there's times that, hey, we're not getting it, so we're going to stay on it.
Mhm.
So we kind of have the whole year mapped out, just rough draft of what we're going to do and this and that, and it just depends on the kids and if the kids are picking it up or if they're
Absolutely.
not and how they're doing it. The conditioning stays about the same, and just without giving too much away, I guess.
You peak at the right point. I
Yeah,
mean,
you know,
Yeah.
just getting it to peak at the right point and knowing when to go hard in practice and when to back off some and making sure the kids are doing that. Sometimes the kids just
yeah.
want to take the whole week off essentially in practice, and it shows in the next weekend. So I mean,
Yeah.
we have it mapped out, and it kind of depends on the kids and what techniques getting showed and where we go from there. Like I said, if we're not getting it, then we'll stay on it until we get it to where we think we're satisfied. Um,
This is strategy
yeah,
too, though. I mean, even going back to like Tristan's senior year, we're gonna face the Colby kid that we've easily handled in Beloit 2 day, and we're going against the semifinals match. And like, all right, we have this certain things we're gonna hit on, certain things we're gonna hit on, and he did good, and all of a sudden things started changing. We're like, what is going on? I mean, you don't think you're like you don't coach in state championship matches or whatever you do because like what is going on? Like
it went kind of crazy.
you gotta do this move. Do this move. It's like I'm trying. Like no, all right, figure something else out. But it's you're always constantly even in state championships matches or even semifinals matches. And you almost lost it. You almost lost it. You come out with a battle, but dadgummit, I'm still getting worked up about it, Jake. Like man, goodness, what is going on?
We're the
Yeah,
whole
and you have, and some of the guys, the top guys you kind of know, and so when we get to
Yeah,
that level, we strategize towards that.
we have to.
What technique we're going to use, to against this person, that way it might be something we haven't done all year, but I mean,
It'll work on.
we drilled it, but we're
Oh
going to
yeah,
drill it really hard
this
that
will
week,
work on this kid.
So
Trust me. We haven't hit it yet on this kid, but it'll work.
how do you guys guard against going both ways? So you face most of the kids that you're going to probably face at the end of the state championship run.
Most of the
for the
time,
most part,
And
a lot of
and
selfish kids too that we don't
you
see.
just mentioned one there in Tristan's case where he's handled a kid before. So how do you guard against them being overconfident because hey, I've wrestled this person once or twice and just whipped them? How do you handle against that? But then also the flip side where you've wrestled twice against this kid and that kid's handled you, and so you don't want them going in and being like, "Oh, this is just a lost cause. I can't." So how do you do both ways there?
it's the mindset. It's like
Have to.
it's man, just because we have done this many times with this kid, you know, it doesn't guarantee the outcome because he has the same outlook on us. He's wrestled us this many times,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe he has us figured out. And so through film or whatnot, and tell them watch film, and then we watch film, and we try to find out some other things, some other chinks in armor that we can pick on and whatnot. And that's going both sides, whether we beat the kid a couple times or
Absolutely.
we've lost to the kid a couple times. We try to find that chink in the armor and sit down with the kids and kind of go over that.
And the mindset's a huge thing. Make
100%.
sure the mind is just right where it needs to be. Like, hey, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many times he beats you. This is where exactly where it counts. I mean, just go back to
And
my
yeah.
senior year. Travis Martin from Ellsworth beat me three times during the season. We're changing things up 2 hours before my match of what the strategy was going to be. Jeff, Coach Giles, and Coach Hauck. I mean, they were right there. We're going over my moves right when I needed to do something. I mean, it is all mindset.
And it's belief. They got to buy in to the kids. Got to buy in and trust us as a coaching staff to know what we're talking about.
100%.
And that goes throughout the year. Get them to buy in. Once they buy in, you get a kid that buys in and believes in what our coaching staff is trying to. It's usually pretty awesome for the kid.
Parents have to let them do it too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say it right now. Parents have to let them buy into the program without them chipping in like what they think they should do. And that's in every sport too. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, absolutely. That's a constant problem. I'm a parent a lot of times now, and we're the worst. Like, I think I personally feel that my son should be playing more right now in soccer than he is, but I'm a
Yeah.
parent, so of course that's natural, right? That's what my kid's always the best. Your kids are always the best. That's just the natural.
I wouldn't say that.
Run that
Sometimes
off.
like
I was like, why is my kid even in there?
Well, fellas, I've got some final questions, and then I'll end it with the last quote I got from a dear friend, and so let's just jump right in. You guys have coached a long time, and so we're gonna take current kids out, and just give me some of your top wrestlers you've ever had the privilege of coaching.
Ooh.
And for anybody that listens, if your son gets left out, it's not intentional. I've thrown this at them. They don't know what's coming, so don't hold it against them.
Yeah.
Some of the best, man. That's tough. There's been so many.
Well, you got one right next to you, and I'll give you that one.
I didn't want to say him. I didn't want to say him.
I'll say that. I
don't like to
watching
talk
him.
about Nick.
Thanks,
I don't
Nick.
like to talk good things about Nick when he's right next to him. Nick was definitely one. Jeff Warner, that was a pretty amazing match on his final match, and what he did to get there too. Sean Dren's another one. Phenomenal athlete, just athlete. He's still, I think, only our 4-time state place winner in state. Tate Omley, he was a co-op from El Saline. Amazing person. He actually just sent me, and that's another thing. That's what makes coaching awesome. He just sent me. He coaches football up in Michigan, college football up in Michigan, and he sent me a card the other day. The relationships, he's pretty awesome. Man, there's so many. Alberto was amazing. Adam Klein. I just have so many. I don't know. I don't think I could pick just one. There's just so many.
You'll never have just one.
No, they're pretty awesome. They're all pretty awesome. His son's pretty awesome. Chase was pretty awesome. So
more to come.
Yeah,
more to
100%. Just keep putting them on the wall. I've just had so many. I've been part of so many different great programs, or kids in this program that, man, I can't pick one. They're all amazing.
Dude, how old are you that you coached Nick and Chase? Goodness sakes.
That's where
I am 49 right now. Yeah. 49. I was pretty young when I started. It is funny how I got started, but I was pretty.
There's some good kids out there. There's Tristan, Tyson.
Yeah, that group was pretty awesome.
TJ Regnoni.
Yeah, Kyler
Mick. There's
just so many.
Yeah.
There's so many.
TJ Glissman. He's a Benji kid that had no experience and would just give you everything he had. And
Keegan Williamson.
Keegan Williams, you gotta throw him out there. I'll tell you a story about him. Is he had like zero experience of wrestling.
It was like my first year as a head coach, right after Jeff.
He'd give you everything he had, and he's going to go against the number 2 kid in state.
Yeah, 3 kid. We're
number 3 or 2 kid in state.
Yeah.
And
we had a pep talk with him.
Yeah,
and the pep talk with
Russell was supposed to come beat us. They even had their newspaper guy there. Everything there because they never beat us in a duel. And
beat us. We had 2 guys.
Jackson, guys put Jackson Nessler in there.
Yeah.
Old Jax. So, anyways, like, the only thing we can't have you do is go out there and get pinned. You get tech fault, you get your ass kicked, whatever. And he's like, yeah, okay. He goes out there and he's getting throttled. And the Russell kid is getting so upset because he can't pin him. He ended up
getting escaped and taking him down.
Yeah, getting
They only
escaped.
gave him 4 points.
4
We ended up
points.
winning the whole duel by 1 point.
But in the middle of this duel, Chad's going, yes, you're doing good. And the look on this kid's eyes, like, F you.
He wanted to kill me.
He wanted to crawl off that mat and kill him. I was like, this is awesome.
He did well. Jackson didn't get stuck. We ended up winning that duel by 1 point.
Oh, yeah,
That's probably I don't know, one of my favorite memory was that duel.
Yeah, you have some really awesome ones, and it's hard to you put those on our backs. Like, hey, what's your favorites? We can go through hours.
You don't have enough time in the day.
I was gonna say that's why I like the question though, because when you got a good program like what you guys have, I mean, if you guys were just to be like, oh, we got these 3, then maybe I'm questioning the program you actually have. But because when I talk kids like that, it's not necessarily just the state champs. There's so many other kids. Maybe the kid doesn't win a match ever, but he provides something for the team to win a duel or whatever.
Yeah.
And so that's why I love that question. I know that every coach that I've talked to hates that question. Hates it.
Yes.
And another
I don't have a good answer for you.
Yeah. And another thing on that's always been on my chest and not trying to get off here, but when I got inducted in the Hall of Fame, Minneapolis Hall of Fame, Cody was talking to me and I think it was Cameron Knox, and he's like, everybody's giving the board heat about why you doing like so many a year. You don't want to run out of kids, and then I've been thinking about that for a long time. I'm like, no, if me and Chaz are not doing our job, then we're going to run out of kids, but we're going to try to do our damnedest to get Hall of Famers every year. I mean, or every so often, to get that point. I mean, it's like kind of put a heater in my butt, going, "Hey, get these kids going." I mean,
yeah. Well, I love that mentality. I mean, that's what drives a program is passionate coaches and obviously passionate parents as well that have bought in. And I think you guys have that for the most part. I'm sure there's the ones or twosies that just for whatever reason they're never going to buy in, no matter who the coach is, and that happens at every program. But for the most part, everything I've seen from the outside, the Minneapolis Bennington wrestling program is going in the right direction, and it's going to continue in the right direction. And I have a feeling that at some point, I'm going to just go ahead and put it on record now that Chaz Hauck will be a Minneapolis Hall of Famer as a wrestling coach.
No, don't say that.
We're putting that on record right now. And it could already happen right now. Like, it could go into place right now, but we'll wait till you retire in like 3 years when you get to retirement age.
I never paid attention to my accolades.
No, you don't. Other people do, though. I do. Nick does.
Yeah.
So let's flip it a little bit. You guys have coached against a lot of good wrestlers, and you've had to really rack your brain on, okay, how can this kid win this match? But give me some of the 5, 6 best wrestlers you've had to coach against.
Ooh. Wow. My goodness. Well, we'll start with Travis Martin. How's that? That was a tough one.
That was tough.
Man.
Travis Martin, number 1. Come on.
I'm not going to pick him number 1. He was tough. I think he's more moral because he beat you 3 times coming in there.
Yeah.
Just try to figure him out.
Just go ahead and stick me. Just go ahead and...
well, you're right here. You're right off the top of my head. Man, another one. My goodness.
For you, it'd have to be the Johnson kid from Norton.
Yeah, Johnson. Yeah,
he's trying to run away.
Johnson kid from
talking
Norton.
all trash, run away.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
Were you coaching Cody's senior year?
No. I was in the military at that time.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I couldn't remember the time frame.
Yeah, I never got that. I was in the room 1 year with him. Like I said, I was senior, he was freshman, and then I went to the military. And then when I came back, I started, not right away, but.
One of mine would be in Genicola against Chase.
Yeah, Genicola. That was tough when we worked on that one all week. Mm-hmm. We had a pretty good plan going in there. Mm-hmm.
We won it.
The kid that Jeff wrestled, that was a tough one. I think. Um, my goodness.
Yeah, that's a hard one to think about. Just trying
Yeah,
to go.
just so
If we'd been Giles, if we had Giles' brain,
yeah,
he'd tell you every wins and losses you had,
yeah.
and then Cody Parks would have, or Chad would have back in the days. Like he knew
used
his
to do
stuff
that.
was
Yeah,
crazy.
Another one would probably be Tyson's finals match.
Oh yeah, the Holcomb kid.
Not the Hauck kid. His junior year.
Let me think about that.
The Hoisington kid.
Oh yeah,
Hoisington kid.
yeah,
Yeah, we didn't see that Hauck kid.
phenomenal football player
Yeah.
too, from South Dakota State
Yeah.
or South. No.
Can't think of his name now. He was a stud.
That's all right. You guys named a few, and that's what counts. Is again, you guys have put your kids in position where you've had to face a lot of tough kids. And again, if you would just say, "Hey, we faced these 3 kids 3 times," it's easy. But the fact that you've put a lot of kids in position to where they've really had to buckle down just to be on the mat with these other individuals is impressive. So, switching
They
to
kind of
your
do it themselves. We just push them. How's that?
yeah, but you guys help them. As coaches, you even if you don't do it from a physical standpoint, the mental side is probably even more important a lot of times. And I know you both have talked about that, the mental aspect of not only wrestling, but just everyday life and any sport you play.
Yeah.
Switching to your all-time favorite wrestlers, college, whatever. Just give me a couple of some of the guys that have really impressed you.
Kyle Dake is one of my
Kyle
favorite
Dake's
ones.
probably one
I
of my
watched him.
favorites.
Went and watched him get his 4th time national championship,
Obviously,
undefeated.
Can't leave out Wyatt Hendrickson. From
Yeah,
Newton.
Wyatt's amazing. He's an amazing person too.
Yeah.
We went to camp with him. Me and Chase and I. If you want, Chase and I always get in trouble. But anyways, Chase and I went to camp with him, and then Tate got to do camp with him this year.
Yeah. Mason
down in South. Kale Sanderson.
Can't leave him out.
Bo Nichols.
John Smith, dude. You leaving John Smith out? He's old now, but he was a stud back in the day.
Just some of those camps that Chase went to with Bo and Kale, Zane Redford, even though they're all Penn State guys, but Baker University threw on that awesome camp, and that I don't know if they still do, but anyways, phenomenal camp to go down to. Those guys got to roll around with some very, very awesome guys.
So am I hearing that Penn State's the best program in the
Oklahoma State, man?
Well,
so Kale Sanderson does some amazing things.
I didn't know anything about Penn State. Coach Hobby, he said it's in his opinion, Penn State's by far the best program.
It is.
It
really is.
But I always hear Iowa and Oklahoma State are the two I always grew up hearing about from an outside guy. Just very little listening.
I'm an Oklahoma State guy, so I gotta say Oklahoma State. Penn State's got.
I fell in love with Iowa. A year after I graduated, or a year after I went through college, I for some reason I went up there and watched them wrestle, and the atmosphere in Iowa is just so awesome. And they still have a decent program, but it was thriving back then. So I'm like, and I'm an Iowa fan since K-State doesn't have a daggum team, or KU if you want to say that.
I would have to. If KU got it. I'm not a KU fan.
I'm not
a wrestling program. I probably cheer for them, man.
Yeah,
that would hurt my bones, but I would do
it. I think he's deep down, Chaz. I think he is an Oklahoma State fan based on that hat. At least it looks black to me.
No, this is red.
He says it's red, but it looks orange.
It's not orange.
That looks orange to me.
I'll never be an Oklahoma State fan, even though they have an awesome program. And one of my teammates' kids is going there. His name's Jasper Lockett, but that's my teammate's name. But
a little team dissension.
Lockett.
A couple of questions here. If you two wrestled in your prime, who wins?
Me. Oh, me.
No, there's no way. There's no way.
I'll sweep single lane and I'll ride him like a donkey with legs in.
There's no way.
Were we the same weight?
Yeah, actually we were.
Call if you get Chime, call Drennan. He'll give you the full answer. What would
All
happen?
right. Well, I got a quote from that young man.
Oh
So
my.
I reached out to him, but we'll save that to the end. So right now we got some major team dissension going on here. They can't agree on anything. Iowa, Oklahoma State, who would win in a wrestling match? How about this one, Chaz? If you and Tristan wrestle, who wins
In our prime or now?
in your prime? Well, both.
Man, right now he would whip the crap out of me.
Okay, let's go prime then. We don't
He's a
want that.
big
Let's go
boy now.
prime.
In prime, man, I think that'd be a tight one. I really do. He might edge me, but I doubt it.
What
What do you
was
think?
he
And
same
you
weight?
didn't in my prime, you didn't say
I'm
it?
whipping. In my prime, I whip him right
We're going
now.
back to this prime.
Yeah. Nick,
Now he would whip me.
you and Chase.
Chase will he won't ever eat me until I'm dead. Prime still today.
Yeah.
I think that might be a weight class issue more than a pure wrestling skill issue.
No, he's getting
I'm
Chase has gotten big too, but yeah, I don't know. It'd be a fun one.
So what was the biggest weight he wrestled at, and what did you win your titles in?
I won mine at 125 and 130. Runner up at 112. He won his at 106.
No, yeah, 6. Yeah.
And then
No, 13. Wasn't it?
no,
It's 6.
106. He got runner up at 120.
So pretty similar weight class. So
Yeah.
yeah. Who's going to be the best pound for pound out of the Johnson family, Rylan?
Pound for pound. She's tough, but the girls are just still developing. I mean, that's the thing. The girls wrestling is just still developing, and you can't take another way of girls or boys, but Chase is probably have it. Tate's on his way up. Small man Tate.
Yeah, Tate's going to be right there, but we all know that at the end of the day, Meredith's going to win that battle no matter who she's
No. Yeah.
Every day. Every day.
So at the start of the conversation, before we encountered some technical difficulties, I really was curious. I saw Chaz roped a cow. So who's a better roper, Chaz or Nick?
Definitely me. He outroped me one time.
Depends on the day, Jake. It depends on the
Yeah.
You gonna tell a story where he outroped me, or am I gonna tell? I'll tell a story.
No, you go ahead and tell it.
I just got this new horse, big old horse, and like the week before, that horse had bucked me off, and I brought this horse out to catch one of Nick's. He had a blind calf.
We pulled all the cows out of the pasture, not knowing there's a blind calf.
Blind calf in there.
It was 400, 500 pound calf.
So I took
defending himself.
I took off after it. It was in a draw and a bunch of trees. My horse, pretty tall horse, and
we're waiting up on this hill, and there's a draw. Let me help you out. There's a big draw, and normally you see this draw, the cow will go up and over through the draw, whatever. Nope. Like me and Bryce Loomis were standing there going, "Oh crap, we hadn't seen Chaz. Maybe we were to check on him." So we got on the side by side, and sure enough, the calf went down the draw, not up the draw, went down the draw and stayed in the draw. I thought he got bucked off. Let's go ahead.
I get down there, and that thing got in the pond before I could get to him. And so we messed around there for a minute, and then we were going back up. Well, he came back out, so I took off after him. Well, Nick took off after him, and I couldn't get him out of these trees. He come around the tree, and then I heard a bunch of bawling going on. I heard him, "Rah!" And I come riding around this cedar tree on my horse, and Nick has a rope around this thing. This thing's trying to eat him. He's running, spinning in circles, and things just trying to eat him. And he gets
Everybody's sitting there laughing, not even helping me either. I'm like,
it was so fun. I didn't know what was going on. It sounded like the calf was dying. It was just trying to eat Nick. It was chasing Nick around in a circle.
To be honest with you, I really didn't rope him. I ran him by side and put the rope on him. I told him I roped him. I still out-roped him that day, though. Right? Rope around his leg and his daggum neck.
That's awesome. Well, hey, whatever it takes to get the calf, right? whether you're on
That's
a horse or
right.
You're
side
right.
by side.
Yeah, it's not just wrestling here. We got all kinds of stuff going
It's
on.
kind of a shit show sometimes.
Well, fellas, I got one final quote from the aforementioned Sean Drennan, another Minneapolis Hall of Fame alumni, and also a two-time state champ, I believe, and a four-time placer.
Two-time state champ, one
One-time runner-up,
one-time runner-up, and fourth as a freshman. Yep.
Yes, and he's teammate of Nick's and coached by Chaz.
That was my
Sean
partner.
says, the thing about Chaz and Nick is that they're not in coaching for self-glory. You see some coaches who it's all about them and they have to be in the spotlight. These two guys always put the kids' program in school first. When you do that, that's when you get the best out of your athlete. Chaz coached me as a young kid in high school. He would go above and beyond when he didn't have to. I remember I wanted to go down to the Wichita Classic during OCWC season, since I never wrestled down there and it was my last season of kids wrestling. I was the only one signed up and didn't have a coach as they were all going to another tournament with the other kids. Chaz stepped up and drove down there to coach me. We ended up winning the tournament, so it was well worth it.
That was awesome. Yeah. That was another one. Yeah.
Hold
I
on.
forgot about that. Oh, there are more.
Oh, you didn't know Sean was long-winded. Neither did I, but apparently he is. So they both always lead by example. They will never ask an athlete to do something they won't do themselves. Sometimes in practice, you see coaches just yelling out instructions or having kids showing moves. Not these guys. They wrestle just as much as anyone during practices. You can also drop by an early morning run and you see them running the halls right along with the kids. That goes a long way with the kids when they see a coach right there in the mix with them. And I echo everything Sean's saying. And I'd like to add, knowing you guys pretty much my whole life, is that I can't think of a time where we've interacted that I haven't left in a better mood. You guys bring light, and as my podcast is Shine the Way, you guys do that to a T. The two of you, especially when you're together, you guys bring out the best in each of you. And you guys, I saw a Chris Pratt quote, something about if the light coming on you is more than the light going out, essentially that's not a good thing. And you two, that never happens with you two. That's why we had technical difficulties when I was trying to shine the light on your accolades. You guys didn't like it. I think you guys just kept clicking stop. Technical difficulties, but I just want to thank you guys for coming on, because you guys are the best program in Minneapolis history, in my opinion. Started by Coach Giles, maybe somebody before him, I don't know, but starting with Coach Giles and now on to you guys, that wrestling program is the best. That pains me being a basketball guy, but the work you guys do in that community for those kids is second to none. So thank you guys for all you do for Minneapolis and for coming on.
Yeah, we appreciate you and yeah, this is fun. This
fun.
was I don't know
Just,
that we never not.
And just talking about other, like having another guy said, "Hey, what was your best wrestler?" It was fun. And I appreciate everything you do.
Yeah.
I appreciate everything you do. Continue to do.
Yeah.
One of these days I'll be back. I'll bring my equipment and we'll do an in-person one where we'll just tell stories.
Yeah.
Or I'll listen. You guys will tell stories. That one may not get published. You never know. That one may not get published. So we'll have to pick and choose and really edit some of that one maybe. But
Jake, we really do appreciate this, awesome. and
keep it.
Seems
up.
like you're doing well. There's I watch Cody's and really good stuff. So no, we appreciate it. We appreciate what you're doing. So
I just like to shine I like to shine the light on you coaches, because you guys give up so much time and energy to kids that aren't yours, even though they feel like yours. Sometimes they are yours, but
how much time do you give up with the kid? You see them more than their own parents.
I see them more. My wife and my wife's amazing. Meredith's amazing. All of our wives, all the coaching staff's wives are amazing for allowing it. They're the only reason we get to do this, to be totally honest with you. So
yeah. Well, thank you guys, and keep up the good work.
Yep. Thank you, Jeff or Jake.
Thank you.